Chief Executive, Andrew Copson. Thanks so much for being with us, Andrew. What exactly do you see as the potential change here? Because the point is that the facts of sex education are going to have to be taught. It's not that they can opt out of saying, well, we won't even touch on contraception, we won't touch on homosexuality. It's more a question of nuance, isn't it?
Well, it's not exactly nuance. It's true that the facts are going to be taught, but the bill sets out certain principles that those facts have to be delivered in line with. And those principles are principles of endeavouring to promote equality, of being accurate, of being balanced, and of delivering an education that is appropriate to the age and background of the children. Now, what the government's U-turn means is that those principles will be suspended for state-funded religious schools if religious schools think that they're inconsistent with their religious character.
And in practical terms, what do you think would be the upshot of that in terms of what children would hear in the classroom?
Well, it's very difficult to know, of course, because this hasn't happened yet, so it's, we don't know what the leeway would be. Obviously, there's a reason, there must be a reason, because the Catholic Education Service have lobbied for these principles to be suspended as it affects them, so they must want to do something that isn't in keeping with accurate, fair and balanced sex relationships education. I suppose it is so that they can teach their own particular Catholic view on certain issues, like same-sex marriage perhaps, like abortion, like contraception. That's certainly the messages we've been hearing today. They
could teach that. Is that true, or is it more of a question of they could say, this is how contraception works, these are different methods of contraception. We, as Catholics, don't believe in contraception, but that's sort of up to you as young people. I mean, how do we know that that's not the message, rather than you must not use contraception?
Well, if that were the message, then they wouldn't need to have these principles suspended as they affect them. I think that the only reason they would need to have these principles suspended, these principles of accuracy and fairness, is if they wanted to say, here is contraception, here is abortion, so on and so forth, and it's wrong.
Now, this is going to be debated in the House of Commons this afternoon. What do you hope will come out of that debate?
Well, I hope that members of Parliament will vote down the amendment. Sex relationships education is a wonderful thing. It's a real achievement if the government can get it through. If other parties support it, that's excellent. It's supported by parents, young people, most religious people, and all sorts of people active in the field of health education. It would be a shame if, because of lobbying by one denomination of one religion, the Catholic Education Service, who aren't even necessarily agreed with by all Catholic schools or all Catholic parents, it'd be a great shame if their lobbying deprived children in a third of our state-funded schools of that very valuable education.
And aside from this more controversial bit of the legislation, what do you make of the general thrust of it? Do you feel that they're moving in the right direction in terms of getting young people, really quite young children, familiar with the ideas of relationships and sexual relationships and so on? Do you think that's all heading the right way?
I think it's a wonderful achievement. We know that it reduces unwanted pregnancies, we know that it reduces sexually transmitted infections, we know that it allows young people to have more mature and stable relationships. That's got to be a good thing.
OK, well, we will be covering that debate in the House of Commons this afternoon. Andrew Copson from the British Humanist Association, thank you very much.
Get the business news now. Simon is here.
Simon, Rachel, thanks very much. Good morning. The value of mortgages approved by high street banks fell to an 8.5